Namaste. A certain depth of understanding has to be there. Only then the truths can be given. Depth of understanding comes when you have certain planets or some connection with the sign Scorpio. And Jyeshta is ruled by Mercury and it falls in the sign of Scorpio. So the nakshatra of Jyeshta has a lot of depth in it. So whenever your moon or Mercury is in Jyeshta, then you have a certain depth of understanding. In this podcast, I have talked briefly about Jyeshta Nakshatra. Jyeshta means elderly. And who is elder? Only that person is elder who is wise, who is evolved, who is matured. Scorpio is one of the most significant zodiac and it is directly connected with the 8th house because it is the 8th zodiac and it rules the 8th house in the Kala Purush Kundali. And that is why I have always said that 8th house, 12th house, these two houses are extremely important when it comes to the evolution of consciousness. So there is much in this podcast that I have talked about Jyeshta Nakshatra. And so let's begin. Moon in Jyeshta brings great attraction towards exploring one's sexuality. Exploring is the word. These natives love to explore all that is hidden, unseen, unknown. And so, from sex to superconsciousness, these natives go a long way in exploring all that is not easily visible to the naked eyes. Moon in Jyeshta is an excellent position for moon because although this moon takes you through many sexual intercourse experiences, many sudden shocks, still this same moon also enables an intense transformation inside out. This moon is very much interested in all that sounds mysterious. And what can be more mysterious than death? And so, what happens after death? Where will I go after death? How is life after death? Such questions often exist in their subconscious mind. One need to understand that after death, nothing changes. You remain exactly to that level at which you have taken your last breath. So if you are a thief, then after death you will not become an angel. However, if you were a thief, but by the time you took your last breath, you had transformed into a saint, then your journey after life will be that of a saint. That is why death chart is of extreme importance as much as the birth chart is. The opportunity to grow within is given to you from the time of your birth. How much you make use of this golden opportunity is totally based on your state of awareness, on how much effort you take to realize yourself while you are alive. That is why the great spiritual master Paramahans Yogananda says, don't depend on death to liberate you from your imperfections. You are exactly the same after death as you were before. Nothing changes, you only give up the body. If you are a thief or a liar or a cheater before death, you don't become an angel merely by dying. If such were possible, then let us all go and jump in the ocean now and become angels at once. Whatever you have made of yourself thus far, so will you be hereafter. And when you reincarnate, you will bring that same nature with you. To change, you have to make the effort. This world is the place to do it, says Paramahans Yogananda. A few days ago, during one of my consulting sessions, a woman said to me, I want to die soon. I don't want to live a long life. I am tired of my life. Now this is how people trap themselves. This was a perfect example of a woman frustrated with her life. Now if she dies in frustration, what is the point? She will come back again in some other form. This is how the cycle of birth and rebirth continues. You should never wish or think of leaving this world, because this is kind of escape, and by escaping you will only return back. The solution is not in escaping but facing your own past karma with courage and faith. When you are born, you cry and people smile. But when you die, you should die with a smile on your face, while the people around you should cry in your fond memories. When you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a manner that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. Moon in Jyeshta is a man of letters, but he is interested more in what lies beneath. He is a man of depth. Why I am here? Who am I? What is the purpose of my life? And many such questions arise in the native's psyche as he or she grows and matures through their own life experiences. In a way, Moon in Jyeshta is a blessing in disguise for a person having spiritual inclination, because such a moon provides intensity, and it is only through intensity that you can progress on your spiritual path. Reminds me of a beautiful story of Baba Farid. Baba Farid was a great Sufi saint, and Baba Farid had his own way of blessing. Whenever someone would come to seek his blessings, Baba Farid would look into his eyes and say, Ja, tujhe ishq ho, meaning go and may you fall in love. The love that Baba used to refer was not an ordinary love, it was spiritual love. Ordinary love is mohabbat, spiritual love is ishq. Baba's blessings and his words were simply to help you realize the significance of spiritual love, which has no demands but is simply happy to give, to share. बाबा फरीद जब किसी को दुआ देते थे तो ये कहते थे, जा तुझे इश्क हो. You will fall in love only if there is a certain intensity within you. Moon in Jyeshta brings this intensity to the native's character. One should be intense in whatsoever he or she does. Only then the joy can be experienced. Only then the bliss can be experienced. Always remember, make life as intense because you are not separate from life. Live intensely, live totally, here and now. Paradise is not some place somewhere, it is a peace within you. It is good to fall in love, Only a man who is intense can fall in love, and the same man someday can also fall in love with God. Reminds me of a man. He wanted to know how God is, where God is, and so one fine day he sets out on his search to find the answer. After a long travel, he finally reached a village, a small village, and the people of the village said, "There is a great fakir, a Sufi saint in our village, and his name is Baba Farid. We cannot answer your question, but that man can. But be careful, because he is a great mystic, and mystics are very eccentric people. So just be careful, else he will drive you away and you will not find your answer." The man was happy to know that finally he had come to the right destination, and he had heard about Baba Farid. He was indeed one of the greatest Sufi saints, and the very thought of meeting him made him feel excited. The next morning, the man goes to Baba Farid. Baba Farid was seated beneath a tree in his own bliss, and the man came and asked, "I have heard that you have come to know God. I have come from far away land. Tell me what God is and how God can be known." Baba Farid said, "Right now I am going to the river to take my morning bath. Come along, and if possible, I can answer you there." The man wondered that why Baba cannot answer here itself. Why at the river bank? Why not here? But then he thought it is better to follow Baba, else, as the villagers said, he may just drive me away. And so the man followed Baba to the river bank. When they reached, Baba said, "You throw off your clothes, become naked, and join me in the river. Perhaps I can answer you then." The man thought, "This is going too far. How can I become naked?" But then there was nobody around the river, so he agreed. He took off his clothes, became naked, and jumped in the river. Baba also jumped, and then Baba pushed the man's head into the water. The man started struggling, but he was a thin man, must be a philosopher, never paid attention to his body, and so he was struggling, and Baba kept the man's head inside the water, not letting the man's head to come out of the water. The man struggled, put all his efforts. Baba was a very strong man, and so it was becoming very difficult to fight off. The man passionately tried his best to lift his head out of water. Finally, he succeeded. As soon as he was able to lift his head out of water, he looked at Baba and said, "What is this craziness? I was utterly wrong to follow a man like you." Baba smiled and said, "You forget about all that. You tell me, what were you thinking when your head was pushed in the water?" The man said, "Thinking? There was no time to think. I was focused totally on how to come out. Total focus, total effort to come out of the water." Baba said, "When you desire God so intensely, you will know God. Not before that. So now you go." Always remember, techniques and philosophies and methods won't help you to realize God. It is your passion, it is your intensity that can help you realize God and all the precious things in life that you wish to experience. Remember, God is not a philosophical theory. It is an experience of intense passion. Kabir says, when the guest is being searched for, it is the intensity of the longing for the guest that does all the work. Nothing else is needed, no method, no technique. If the intensity is great, then that will do the work. All methods only help your intensity. They don't really help you to go to God. They only make you more and more aflame. Jyeshta is intense. That is why it is called Jyeshta, meaning elderly. And moon in Jyeshta makes you more intense. And Kabir wants intense men and women. Buddha, Mahavira wants intense beings. All methods only help your intensity. All you need is intensity. Sexuality, intensity. Along with this, what is most striking is their nature of repressing their anger. The nature of repressing anger is very dangerous because the more you repress your anger, the more it goes on damaging you inside out. Remember, repressed anger becomes a temporary madness. Something happens which is beyond your control. If you could have controlled, you would have controlled it still, but suddenly it was overflowing. Suddenly it was beyond you. You couldn't do anything. You felt helpless and it came out. Such a person may not be angry, but he moves and lives in anger. Repression leads to suffocation. Repression is suicide. Expression is life. Accidents and upheavals are common for moon in Jyeshta natives. Small accidents often happen in their life, or at times they must face certain shocks of life. Suddenness in matters of life becomes a way of life, and the native slowly becomes used to receiving certain shocking news or facing certain shocking events in life. Occult mysteries of human life, hypnotism, shamanism, tantra sex, and many such darker arts attract these natives. However, if the native is a spiritually evolved soul, then he takes to meditation, he takes to chanting. He understands that spirituality has absolutely nothing to do with any kind of magic, because magic is man made, whereas a miracle is God made. Less evolved positive souls are inclined towards white magic, and less evolved negative souls are inclined towards black magic, tantra, voodoo spells, etc. It all depends on what kind of person you are, whether you are an evolved soul or you are a base level soul. Moon in Jyeshta will never take a pistol and pull the trigger to kill his or her enemies. They generally prefer plotting behind the curtains and striking their enemies through their brain power and not muscle power. They are excellent politicians and they know how to manipulate people and situations in their favor. Along with intensity, the other positive quality of moon in Jyeshta is not giving up. These men and women continue to fight back. They will not confront directly, but indirectly through their writings, their speech brings mass revolution. They love freedom and they also are good freedom fighters. Jyeshta is a Mercurian nakshatra connected with the reality of life, that is the 8th house ruled by Scorpio. And so this placement makes the individual more realistic. Always remember, life is not fair, so you have to get used to it. Moon in Jyeshta signify the importance of Mercury in your chart. Jyeshta's ability to write and solve the codes with support of a strong Mercury can make one a programming genius. This placement is positive for a software developer provided Mercury is powerful or Mercury is retrograde and is placed well in the chart. Retrograde Mercury is always very strong though it provides some side effects such as anxiety problems, psychological issues, though the native is extremely intellectual and can become rich through his intellectual achievements. Moon in Jyeshta gives birth to a good orator. The touch of Scorpio, the eighth zodiac sign, and the eighth house simply spiritualizes the otherwise Mercury. Constant struggle to discover something new, to invent, to introduce something new to the world is one attribute of Jyeshta Nakshatra. Jyeshta moon loves philosophy. We all should realize that it is not money and property that can shape our children, but faith and character. The greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money or other material things accumulated in one's life, but rather a legacy of character and faith. Character is the eighth house property because character is hidden. You don't really know how a person is. Personality is the ascendant, but character is the eighth house treasure. Personality is just a mask. It is a word that is derived from the Greek word persona, which means a mask. You become a victim or you get cheated because you fall for the appearance, for the personality, which is just a mask and not the real person. Character is real and it is what matters at the end of the day. The inner character of a person is the true measure of lasting greatness. When wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, everything is lost. Character is so deep. It is the eighth house, the real, the unpolished, the natural. Jyeshta Nakshatra has given much depth to this human world. I prostrate before the respected wise Nakshatra, Jyeshta, which holds a certain intensity, depth, wisdom, and the passion to research, discover, invent. Moon in Jyeshta certainly has given many great men and women to this human world and will give more because the journey never stops. God never sleeps. God never sleeps, my fellows. God is the ultimate fragrance of your consciousness, and consciousness is always awake, always watching you. The larger question is, when are you going to awake? When are you going to start meditating? When are you going to start turning inwards? Meditate and let the journey within begin. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru.
ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः।